let's hear of the brief little amount that you told me of this Mexico trip with the other photographer that was hired to come in.
Yeah, that was a good life lesson. So 2 months ago, January, during the pandemic, right, I was booked last minute. A couple reached out and their UK photographer couldn't make it to Mexico. They were getting married in Guadalajara. So maybe like 3 weeks before the wedding, I was hired. And flew down there with an assistant who spoke Spanish because I don't speak any Spanish. And the day of the wedding, I'm the only photographer. And so, as you know, when you're the only photographer, you're trying to get bride prep, groom prep, ceremony details, all the things all day. Just, it's all on you. And while I'm shooting family portraits prior to the ceremony, I see that there's another photographer and videographer shooting around the ceremony area. And so I send my assistant to go ask why there's another photographer, videographer, because it's also in my contract that I am the sole photographer of the event. And he comes back and says, I spoke to the planner and they're only going to be here for 1 hour. They're just shooting details that will just be for the planner. And so I didn't like it, but I just said, okay. And I didn't really notice them after that because I was so wrapped up in just making sure I got everything that I needed. And then next thing you know, the ceremony's about to start. I'm standing at the top of the aisle waiting for the bride to come so I can shoot, her walking and then, grab a shot of the groom's reaction. And I see the other photographer standing at the end of the aisle and he's shooting. And at that moment, you can't really do anything. You just have to keep shooting and working. And as soon as an opportunity came up, I mean, we were in it's called a loggia. I don't know what you call it in these haciendas. It's like basically the patio area. So it's a very narrow area with like the columns and it's open air on one side. And then the other side is like the hacienda with the courtyard in the middle. Yeah.
There's only so many spaces you can stand basically.
Yes. It's very cramped. Right. Yeah. And even though they only had, 20 guests, maybe 15 guests, it was a very small wedding. The videographer was literally like in the only place where I could be standing. And then the photographer was in my shots. Right. So I did kind of that like cut sign to the photographer at one point during the ceremony to be like, you are supposed to be done like an hour ago. And he puts the camera down and kind of sheepishly walks away. And then I realize he's standing on the grass and he's shooting from the grass.
Oh man.
The ceremony. And I'm looking at him thinking, okay, I'm what can I do? And then later in the ceremony, this was like an hour and a half religious ceremony. It was not a South Asian wedding. They were Bethel, the Church of Bethel, which is in Northern California. They have a lot of like music playing and all this stuff. So, an hour into this hour and a half long ceremony, he's back shooting the ceremony again in the ceremony area. And I go to my assistant and I'm like, if he doesn't, like, you got to tell him to stop, or this makes me sound like a horrible, violent person, but I was very hungry and it was very hot. And I said, if he doesn't stop shooting, I'm going to go over there and throw punch the guy. And he's like, I gotcha. I'll take care of it. Which like, me, like, I'm like Susie Sunshine. And if I actually had gone over to him, I would have been like, please, can you stop? Was,
we all say those things when
I acted really tough, but my assistant understood like how serious I was, because I was like, this guy needs to stop shooting. Like, this is not okay in so many levels. And, at that point he stopped. And the explanation was again, that he was just there to get details, and he went over to go shoot the reception details at that point.
Yeah.
And I said, well, he better do that and then get out. So the ceremony finishes. They are still there during the reception and they have their computers open. And I again say, what's going on? And they're just waiting to get paid. They're waiting for the planner to pay them. And they're on their laptops, right? And I'm thinking, what are they doing? Like, why are they here? This is so inappropriate. And I don't want to make a fuss with the couple, but the couple had not hired them. It was just the planner. So we get back, the wedding's done. I just sort of forget the whole thing. And I have this beautiful photo. It's actually on my website of the two of them with these it looks like this like gold twinkly bokeh all around them. And it's this beautiful photo, and I'm thinking I'm going to post this in a photography group to share. And I decided to pick one that I hadn't posted in a very long time. And it was as I post the photo, and I'm so proud of it. And I'm scrolling down, just looking at other photographers' photos, as we all do as wedding photographers. And I'm like, oh, I think that's the same hacienda that's my couple. That's the wedding.
No.
And I keep scrolling to find like 3 more photos that he had shared at the reception on the wedding day.
So this guy's in the same groups.
So, and then I click on his profile, and I see that we're Facebook friends. I didn't know him, but we were friends on Facebook. And then I see that he posted a photo on Instagram, and he had posted a photo in like another wedding platform. I think it's called like My Wed or something like that. And he's a fearless photographer. He teaches workshops. He's part of ISPWP, all these like photography associations. So this wasn't someone new.
That's next level, dude. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. This isn't someone who just was like, oh, I'm starting a wedding business in Guadalajara. And yeah, I mean, the thing that made me so mad was that one of the photos he posted was literally, I didn't even know he was shooting. It was one of the portraits that I had set up of the couple, and he was in the background, right? And like taking it over my shoulder. Probably like 5 or 6 feet behind me from a different angle. It felt very violating.
Did you reach out afterwards, or?
Oh, I messaged him immediately and was like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Like, these are not detail photos. And he's like, well, like there was some plants in I'm like, no, that is still not a detail. Like, you cannot argue this. Like, don't play dumb at this point. And the hard thing is like, I get that he was a local, and that I'm sure, during lockdown, he probably hasn't photographed a lot. And here was this beautiful wedding. And if he had found out, from the planner who the photographer was, and reached out to me and said, hey, like, here I am, here's my work. I would love to second shoot for you.
Yeah.
I would have said, yes, of course. Like, that sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't have a second shooter for the day. You live local. Great. Like, let's coordinate.
Along these lines, I've had second shooters and third shooters, namely earlier in our career, before we were very strict and very open and had people sign. Like, we developed these contracts for our shooters specifically because of these people. But I've had second shooters come onto the job and give coordinators their business card. I'm paying the second shooter. In one case, I walked up as the second shooter's handing his business card to the coordinator and goes, so I'm working with Pi today, but I actually have my own company. Can we work together? And I was like, dude, we walked away from that. I'm like, do you not realize how effed up that was and how big of a conflict of interest that was? For you to come onto my job while being paid and to be marketing your business on my gig.
Second shooters shouldn't even know your couple's names. Like, I don't even love it when my second shooters follow, like, I see that they follow them on social media and things like that.
Really?
Because to me, it's like, if I'm working for someone else, I am your company that day. Like, I am your brand. There is no other brand. And at the end of the day, I hand you the cards. I shouldn't even, like, next week, I should be like, what was the name of that couple that we shot together? I don't even remember, right?
Yeah. It needs to be an arm's length relationship on the day of, like we expect our people on the day of to be close to our clients. But after it's all said and done, if you're being paid by a company, you are representing that company.
Right.